I know what video I'm filming tomorrow.
It is finally tulip planting day. I've got one trench and I brought 2 out of my 8, I think, bulb crates that are currently sitting in my house waiting to be planted. And that is because now that it is fall, I don't have any full days off. At best, I have 1 to 2 hours free here and there. So I've only dug one trench and I'm gonna hope to plant close to half of them, and then I'll come back out and finish it tomorrow. I have already spent an hour moving around some perennials. I had some hyssop or agastache, both white and blue, which I had to move. It was in a few different places. I now have it all in one spot. I had some Rebecca and I also had some oriental lilies. Those I have moved out of the way so that I could dig my 2 remaining tulip trenches. And in the spring, this will be thoroughly protected by some wire mesh and an electric fence, just to be on the safe side. So my trench has been dug, and since these are cut flowers, I am not going to be precious about this. I'm just going to dump them in the hole and move on, because I'm down to about 35 minutes of work time before I have to go in and start teaching. My first variety going in the ground is going to be Queen Rania. Nope, Rania. And this is how you plant tulips without being precious about it. There. That is it. They are pretty jammed together, but these will be pulled out as soon as they start to flower, so they will be just fine. Next we have Cream Upstar, and most of these are 100 each in these boxes. Some of them have 200. I'm basically just making sure that they're not overlapping. They will likely still flower, but they'll be a lot harder to get out of the ground if they're jammed in there too close. Next one is Blue Wow. And this one is a challenge because I've ordered this for 3 years in a row and I've never actually gotten it. There's been either errors or they've substituted it for something else, or I thought I was getting Blue Wow. They were labeled as such and I ended up getting something completely different. So let's hope we actually get this tulip this time. Next, we have 200 of the Candy Prints, and these have been fantastic for me. I've grown those before. Oh, we have Don Quixote, and there are 200 of those too. This will make 700. And that might be all that we fit in this trench. Holy, that was fast. I only have room for 2 trenches here, and 700 in this trench is not going to cut it. So I'm going to dig this trench a little bit longer. And this one is called Light and Dreamy. That is all we are going to fit in this trench. These are good sized bulbs too. So if I counted right, then that makes 800 in this bed. I'm pretty sure I have 2,200 though, so that's going to be a bit dicey. My next trench can be a little longer. I could actually make 3 trenches. I might have to do that. Or I'll just make my second trench a little bit wider, and I do have one small raised bed at the back that I want to fill with tulips, because that's where I'm putting my temporary greenhouse in the spring, and I want to see if I can get a bit of an earlier crop. So, if I were smart, I would have taken a dozen bulbs of each type to plant in that raised bed. I'll do that with what's left though. So, all we need to do now is backfill, and then I think I'm going to run out of time for today. Yeah, it is 3 o'clock, which means I have 25 minutes, but I also need to eat before I start lessons. So we're going to bury these tulips and get these crates put away. That is all self-seeded larkspur. Would be lovely if it was in the right spot. It is getting harder and harder to find a good garden work day now that the weather has turned. There's a few jobs that I really wanted to make sure that I filmed for you guys, and planting my tulips and digging up dahlias is one of them. Now I got the dahlias dug up. They're in the crate behind me. Farm equipment's out in full force today. So these are my dahlias. I've just finished cutting off all the tops, and I'll be lugging those down, getting them cleaned off and divided and stored later on this week. There's no real rush for that. It hasn't been freezing overnight since I dug them up, which is why they've been sitting on the porch. But I needed to dig those up because that is where my tulips are going. I got a really good start yesterday. I managed to dig one trench quickly and plant about 800 bulbs before I had to start teaching. Problem is I have 1,400 left and I only have room for one more trench. I can though make it wider than the first one. So I think we'll do that and see how many bulbs that I get planted into that second trench. And I do have a raised bed in the back that should fit about 200. And that's one of the raised beds that's going to be covered by a greenhouse in early spring. So I really want to get some tulips in there to see how much earlier they end up being under cover. So I gotta go dig a trench, then we'll see how many bulbs we can fit. It is really breezy today, so hopefully the audio will be all right. I don't need these for digging a trench. And I'm not in quite as a rush today. I actually have 2.5 hours, and I just spent the last 2 hours at the elementary school with a bunch of grade 5s helping them clear out the school gardens. So yes, I'm gonna have an update on that for you guys at some point. But I mean, of course, when I'm there working with the students, I can't film. So more on that to come. But for now, I've got to dig. If that wind gets any colder, I'm going to need a hat. Digging that trench took about 20 minutes, which isn't bad. I do it all by hand. Yes, I'm not always looking for an easier way to do things. This garden is my gym, it's my mental health, it's all of those things. So I really want to have some amount of hard work. And I'm not the one to go and spend a ton of money on expensive equipment just to make my life a little bit easier. I'd rather do the work and save the money. And I have very much on purpose kept my garden to a manageable size so that I don't need expensive equipment, because that's when you have to start marking up your prices and doing a lot more volume to justify those expenses. So there's a fine art to that. Now I have to lug all my tulips down off my porch, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna save a dozen of each of the varieties that I haven't yet planted to plant in that raised bed. That way I'll have a variety and I'll be able to see what comes up first and what I can get the earliest crop out of. So here are the varieties all laid out, and in case my battery dies, because you think I would have charged it last night, but I didn't. We have from right to left, a Veyron, Cream Flag, Exotic Emperor, more Exotic Emperor, Apricot Parrot. This one is, come on, the heck is that? Password, oh, this one was a substitution. Daydream, Brisbane, Palmyra, I grew that one last year. Then we have Salmon Van Eyck, another favorite from last year. Pink Pride, Apricot Pride, Purple Crystal, two left. There's a tag in there too. Granny Award, a really nice yellow, and Qatar. So let's fill this sucker up and then see what we have left. We got them done with room to spare too, and I only have about 10 minutes left at this point, so I'm going to cover them up and then I have to rush off to pick my son up from school because it is early dismissal today. There we go, and we're done. That only took me an hour and 20 minutes, which is pretty good for 1,300 tulips. And now I need some chocolate. Hello? Mom tax. Those are gonna go good with my coffee, but first, I have to go pick up a small boy from school. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. We'll be back in the garden this weekend. It looks like good weather to finish off pretty much all of the last-minute fall garden jobs before the ground freezes. So join me then. Please make sure to like this video and subscribe. Thank you very much. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.